Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens at our tiny farm. Today is going to be a very fun day. We are going to be removing the creeping thyme in the front perennial cut flower garden, and we're going to be replacing it with some boxwoods and a very romantic lavender hedge. And then I wanted to share with you guys a very fun perennial, I call it a perennial rescue haul from the clearance section at Lowe's and at Walmart that I found last night. A lot of my garden, I'm not even going to be shy about it, is from the clearance section at the garden center. And after we are done with that, we are going back in the back cut flower garden because I wanted to share a kind of a redesign plan for the back cut flower garden. So let's get started. The creeping thyme in this front perennial cut flower garden was just a temporary plant to kind of fill in the spaces until I find something that I truly want to grow in here. I had started all this creeping thyme from seed using the winter sowing method. So like this packet of seeds had cost like maybe $4. So I really do not have, I barely have any money invested in these plants. So it's not hard for me to take them up and replace them with something that I actually really love for this garden. Okay, friends, completely removed all of the thyme along this side of the pathway. It actually took a lot longer than I thought it would. Those roots are like very extensive, but I did leave this thyme right here because I'll have to show you. It is literally covered in pollinators because it's still in bloom. Can you see them? There's like honeybees, bumblebees, I mean, every pollinator imaginable on here. So we're just going to leave it until it's done blooming and then we'll remove it because I do have some of this out in the back cut flower garden. The exciting thing is the pollinators adore lavender just as much as they do this creeping thyme. We have a hedge of lavender out in the back cut flower garden and it is literally covered with bumbles and honeybees. So I don't feel bad about removing this creeping thyme again because we're replacing it with something that the pollinators love just as much and it's going to look a lot prettier out here in the front cut flower garden. So let's go see the plants that we picked up at Lowe's last night. In last week's garden tour, I had asked you guys, like, what would you plant along the pathway in the front cut flower garden? And one of you suggested doing a hedge of lavender. I thought it would be so pretty. I love that suggestion, but I was like, oh, I don't really want to go spend a lot of money on lavender. So I was very excited to find all of this lavender on the clearance rack at Lowe's. There's 24 plants here, and we gave about $1.50 per plant. So it should be enough to just do the one side of the pathway. Maybe we'll have a couple left over to do on the other side. And then I went over to Walmart. They had all their boxwoods on the clearance rack, as well as their hydrangeas. So eventually, when we do take out this thyme after it's done blooming, this is where the two boxwoods will go. Because earlier this summer, we had removed the creeping thyme that was here and placed boxwoods in it. I think it would be very nice to have a boxwood on each side of this arbor. And then we'll have our Bathsheba climbing rose climbing up over the arbor. Last week we had talked about, we picked up this little hydrangea at Lowe's on the clearance rack as well. It's called Little Hattie and it gets about 3 feet tall and wide. So now we have a trio of hydrangeas right here. And we're going to be placing this one on the other side, on this side, because we currently only have 2 hydrangeas over here. And I would like to do a trio of hydrangeas in this square as well. So this has a very similar growing habit compared to the Little Hattie hydrangea. This one is called, it's from Better Homes and Gardens. It's called Living Little Blossom. And it gets 35 to 40 inches tall, which is very similar to the other hydrangea. Okay, let's get our lavender placed. I think we'll do about 18 inches apart. And then we are going back and seeing some of the other plants that we picked up at Lowe's. And then we are going into the back cut flower garden to come up with a new design plan. We have 11 plants right along here. And then I popped one right here at the end of this pathway. There's another one right here. And then if we turn this way, turn slowly so I don't make you dizzy, then we have 11 plants along this side. The variety that we are planting out here is called Vincenza Blue. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But can you imagine like what this will smell like when all of these are in bloom? So in the back cut flower garden, we have, I think there's 6 lavender plants, and it just smells so good when you walk in there. But can you imagine what 24 plants will smell like out here in this front cut flower garden? And it's also like, it's just looking so restful already with just having a row of all the same plants. So lavender really doesn't need a lot of fertilizer at all. It thrives in poor soil. It's drought tolerant once it's established in the garden. It's really a wonderful plant to have, especially if your soil is a bit on the poorer side. And I think the reason that this lavender was struggling a little bit is because, I mean, it's like the soil was soaked, and they really don't like having a very wet soil. The lavender plants are all in the ground, and it's kind of hard to see them now that they're planted, but I know that within a year or two these will start filling in, and it's going to be so pretty because the lavender will just be touching each other, and it'll probably come out to where it'll be just touching the edge of the pathway, which will be so much better than what the creeping thyme was doing, because as you can see, like, it goes out over the pathway and it just makes the pathway so dirty, so I have to come in here, clean up the pathway still. Lavender is such a low maintenance perennial. Like in the back cut flower garden, all I do for it is late winter I come in, cut it back so it doesn't get those woody stems, and that's the only thing I do for the lavender. So I'm going to let the pollinators enjoy this creeping thyme for probably another week. Once the flowers start fading, we'll take it out and replace it with the 2 boxwoods. And I'm probably going to wait until tomorrow to get our other hydrangea planted right in here so we can have a trio of hydrangeas in here as well. But let's go out back and look at some of the other plants that we picked up at Lowe's last night. Here's the rest of our plants that we picked up at Lowe's. Let's say we rescued them. So this little fruit tree was 75% off, and it does look like the tops, like this is what the leaves kind of look like at the top, but there is still a lot of life left in it. But the exciting part is it only grows 2 to 3 feet tall, or 2 to 3 feet wide and 8 to 10 feet tall. But this is what, like, how wide it is compared to an average apple tree. Isn't that amazing? So I would love to have it out in the cut flower garden somewhere. Maybe you guys can help me find a spot for it. And then we picked up a Korean spice viburnum. It was half off. I want to have this one in the patio garden that we're going to be extending. It says that it's exceptionally fragrant. It grows 4 to 6 feet tall, and it eventually can reach 8 feet tall and wide. So we did pick up 2 of this hydrangea for half price, the Living Little Blossom, and this one is going in the patio garden as well that we're extending along with the Korean spice viburnum. And last but not least, 2 more catmint plants. They were only $4 each to finish out our catmint hedge in the back cut flower garden. Before we head into the cut flower garden to kind of see the layout plan that we've been drawing up and painting in the garden, I did want to share this book with you. It's From Better Homes and Gardens, Bed and Borders, or Beds and Borders. I did pick it up at our local library. I don't know if you guys ever check at your local library for gardening books, but I know our local library has so many wonderful gardening books. But this book is from 2010, and like, just the pictures on the back already tell you, like, it is filled with inspiration. I have to show you just a couple of the pictures. Like, this is some of the garden plans that it gives. It is filled with the prettiest inspiration. So I also have been working on the computer to kind of help draw up a plan for the garden. I'll throw the picture up on the screen so you guys can kind of see what I've been trying to accomplish in this garden. But I just came in earlier and painted kind of the outline that I'm thinking of. So let's walk into the garden and see the lines and the plans that we've kind of been drawing up. I'm still not 100% sure if I'm actually going to go with this plan. So if you guys have ideas, maybe you have a different thought of how to lay this out, I have learned so much from you guys. So I always look forward to reading your comments. But along the fence over here, I am thinking just a complete border all along the fence. And the fence will also be painted white. But wouldn't this just be beautiful, filled with either cosmos or zinnias all along the fence? And the plastic in here is temporary. I'm going to be removing it as we start designing the new garden beds. And if we stand back a little bit, so this is kind of what I'm thinking. So this would be your pathways right along here. I might have to actually scooch all of the beds over just a little bit. So it kind of lines up with the circle right here. And then that way we also have a wider walking path on this side. The circle is, I'm going to save this spot because I'm thinking maybe a water fountain centered with the greenhouse. Wouldn't that look very pretty? So here would be another bed. We would have everywhere that's open like this would all be pathway. And that would either be wood mulch or pea gravel. Not totally sure which one to go with yet. And then we would have two very long beds right along here. We would walk on down this pathway, and then we might like bring this border that's been running all along the fence, bring it out to an L up to the edge of this entrance into the garden, and then kind of do another similar square right over here. But all of this, if we look this way, all of this will remain vegetable garden. We had also talked about maybe putting in an arch between these two beds, but I'm afraid, I don't know, what do you guys think? I'm afraid it'll kind of hide the view from the greenhouse as we look out into the cut flower garden, or if you're looking this direction towards the greenhouse, like I'm afraid it'll kind of hide the greenhouse. But I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. What would you guys do? Also, I need to show you this. I did add some lighting into the greenhouse garden just this week. These are rose solar lights. They look absolutely gorgeous when they're lit up at night, and they kind of look like there's flowers growing in the raised beds. Aren't they so pretty? They look so realistic. We do have a lot of upcoming garden projects that I'm so excited to share with you guys. So make sure that you're subscribed and stay tuned so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you for being in the garden with me today, friends. My hope is always that our garden brings a little bit of peace and joy to your day. Have an amazing week in your own gardens, and I will see you right back here real soon. Bye.